Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Apocryphal Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Friday Apocryphal and podcast. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today, we are covering Sirach chapters 34 through 37.
Yeah.
Bam.
We did it.
Got it.
Well, so anything you want to say right off the bat about this section?
I mean, not particularly. I think it sets us up nicely for when we get into prophetic literature with this section that we're covering today, this first part, chapter 34.
Wonderful. And I guess we'll be covering prophetic literature soon enough.
Yeah, very soon. Once we're done with Song of Songs, we will, in fact, be covering Isaiah. And actually, for the first episode of Isaiah, we will have Dr. Josh from Digital Hammurabi.
Oh, that's incredible.
I agree. And also, I think we're having Landon for that one, too.
Wow.
Yeah.
And next week on this show, I think we're having
David Skelton.
David Skelton.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's
Sirach scholar. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So we're talking about Sirach today.
Yeah. What translation are you using?
I'm using the Anchor Bible, Wisdom of Ben Sira, a new translation with notes by Patrick W. Scahan. Introduction and commentary by Alexander A. Delela.
And I have the Wisdom of Ben Sira, also known as Ecclesiasticus. And this translation is from W.O.E. Osterley.
We also have Eerdman's commentary on the Bible.
We do. Eerdman's commentary on the Bible right here. This big, beautiful book. This big, blue, beautiful book. And
what?
It's blue-ish. See? It's bluish.
Yeah.
It's got blue.
It has
And
blue on it.
Yes, it does. And we also have the New Interpreter's Bible Commentary, Volume 6.
Wonderful. We also have the Holy Scriptures according to some Jews and a bunch of other books that are sitting around on the table.
Yeah, that we're not going to really use today.
Yep, we're not going to use those today.
But we have them.
Yep. So this section is titled Trust in the Lord and Not in Dreams in the Anchor Bible.
Yeah, because this section is, you guessed it, it's about dreams.
Wow. You know, that's one of the ways that God can talk to you according to the Bible.
According to the Bible, yes. But let's see what Ben Sirach has to say about this.
All right.
So there is a introductory note that I have for you right here. Although revelatory dreams are reported favorably in the patriarchal narratives, in the stories about the judges in the book of Job, and even as late as the period when the popular tales preserved in the first 6 chapters of the 2nd century BCE book of Daniel took shape, this means of asserting the divine will came under sharp attack from several prophets, most notably Jeremiah. Ben Sira concurs in this negative assessment of dreams, but he reserves space for legitimate dreams sent by God. Such a judgment begs the question, however, for no means existed for determining which one had its origin in divine revelation as opposed to those arising in human fantasy. The same situation pertained in prophecy, for no adequate criterion was for distinguishing true prophetic words from false could be found. We can cross-reference.
Dang. You see, that was the thing I was hoping they'd have. You know,
some criteria?
Yeah, just a nice list.
No, I'm sorry.
You know, they love lists.
We don't get criteria.
So we get bad lists. We never get any useful lists.
We get lists
like it's got to have
X
a halo
begat
in
Y,
it.
begat Z, begat.
Well, there is that. But no, you're not getting a list of ways to...
It's got to have a divine sword of judgment. It has to have the words divine sword of judgment on it.
If Ben Sira or anybody else had some way of distinguishing this, I think we would have heard it by now from somebody.
Darn.
Although, to continue here, the basis for rejecting dreams, in Ben Sira's view, was their lack of any foundation in tangible reality. They resemble idols in that they possess no link with the realm to which they supposedly point.
Have you ever dreamed something and then it happened?
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah.
But there's also a shit ton of dreams I've had
that didn't happen.
No, it did not.
Yeah.
Really just a matter of probability at that point.
It's always really weird when you dream something and then it happens.
Yeah.
Like, not comfortable. Like,
right.
You have deja vu of it.
Well, it's not quite deja vu either. It's more,
because you know it's from a dream.
Yeah. Like you consciously know. Well, I dreamed literally this a couple nights ago.
Yeah.
Or at least you construct a memory of some part of a dream.
Yeah.
I guess.
Happily don't dream very often at all.
No, you do dream. You just don't remember it.
Well, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I assume that I must.
Nope, it's just your short-term memory for dreams. It's gone.
Great. That's awesome.
Yep.
Just forget that stuff.
Yep.
All right, well, let's continue here.
Yep. Empty and false are the hopes of the senseless, and fools are sent winging by dreams, like one grasping at shadows or chasing the wind.
Yeah, if you remember, the whole chasing the wind thing pops up a lot. In fact, Kohelet used chasing the wind a lot, just to mean it's futile, it's meaningless.
It's like a dog chasing its tail. It's chasing the wind.
Yeah.
Yep. Is whoever puts trust in dreams. What is seen in dreams is a reflection that mirrors the vision of the onlooker. Can the unclean produce the clean? Can the liar ever speak the truth? Yes.
Yeah.
Divination, omens, and dreams are unreal. What you already expect, the mind depicts, unless it be a vision specially sent by the Most High. Fix not your heart on it, for dreams have led many astray, and those who base their hopes on them have perished. I guess that's everyone.
Yeah, and so referencing verse 5 specifically here. So divinations and soothsayings and dreams are vain. So
He calls them vain in there,
yeah,
like Ecclesiastes.
yeah,
Oh,
vanity in that
great.
sense.
Maybe this is why it's Ecclesiasticus. It's got things that are similar sometimes.
Well, I mean,
Look at that.
no,
Holy cow.
Why is it Ecclesiasticus? That
no,
doesn't.
probably for a similar reason.
I mean,
Something about teaching.
does it translate specifically?
It's probably I don't know, but it's probably
It has a
something
similar
about
meaning
teaching.
about teaching. Yeah, I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are a lot of ways that you could do divination, right?
Yeah. Turtle shell cracks, throwing sticks, drawing cards, looking at pools of water.
And even in the Bible, we've seen quite a few ways to do it too, like the tossing of dice with Urim and Thummim, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've also had shooting arrows. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they shot arrows, and that was to decide how many battles the dude would win. There's observing the flight of birds and drinking sacred potions. There's a whole lot.
That the demon summoning video that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a divination technique. When you're staring at the mirror the whole time. Yeah, that's
That was annoying.
well, when your vision
traumatized.
starts warping.
Yeah.
They would consider that divination. So like when you see videos of like the old witch lady with the crystal ball, right? That's what they're doing, basically.
Yeah. So one of the things that's pointed out here is the vast number of clay livers discovered in Mesopotamia testifies to the enormous significance of. Now, this word was giving me trouble when I was going over the readings. Hepatoscopy to the Babylonians. Priests observed the livers of animals sacrificed at altars as a means of discovering the will of gods as it pertained to the person offering the sacrifice, whereas a considerable population viewed dreams, omens, and divination as reliable and understood the study of these manipulative practices as scientific, to use a modern term. Ben Sira thought they merely equipped fools for a wild ride, one characterized by an unchecked imagination.
Unchecked?
Yeah.
Wow. So imaginative, these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it went unchecked.
I just find it's strange, right? He doesn't give any criteria to distinguish, like any criteria is just like
there's no way to
specifically from God, right? But a senseless person would dream that they get messages from God, maybe, and an unclean person.
Oh yeah, they can't get those messages. They're unclean.
Right,
yeah.
But they can have the appearance of a message from God. So, like, there is no way to distinguish which ones are and are not.
Especially without a good imagination, and he's not even encouraging that.
Now, presumably, because the Bible does say that God speaks to people through dreams.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and so presumably, I mean, you wouldn't want to be encouraging a situation where literally everyone is
can interpret their dreams in this many ways.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe it's reasonable to tell people not to think that their dreams are literally prophecies. Right. But if you also believe in literal prophecies, then there is no way to distinguish it. So it makes no sense.
Yeah. Also, check that out. Next week's guest is in the chat.
Oh.
Yeah, there he is. We're talking about the whole dreams thing. Here's what he says for anyone that's listening to this. This is a verse that's often used in scholarly circles to talk about BS being, Ben Sirach, being against apocalyptic revelation and Enoch and Daniel circles. When we get there's a whole lot of stuff with Revelation, Enoch. Those are very interesting books. I want to do actually something related to Revelation pretty soon. I know I did a whole...
Yeah, you did the Revelation video.
Yeah, I did. But I want to do something more specific on Heavenly Horsemen. Because remember, we were reading Maccabees.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something on Heavenly Horsemen.
Right. And the chariots.
Yeah.
Right.
That kind of stuff. Anyways, yeah, let's continue.
We'll get into it. The law is fulfilled without fail, the law being the Torah, right? And well-rounded wisdom is the discourse of the faithful. A person with training gains wide knowledge. A person of expertise speaks sense. One never put to the proof knows little, whereas with travel, a person adds to his resourcefulness. I have seen much in my travels, learned more than ever I could say. Often I was in danger of death, but by these attainments I was saved.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting that he doesn't actually tell you the specific dangers.
Yeah, no. I used to be an adventurer like you, but then I took an arrow to the knee.
But even then, you know that you took an arrow to the knee.
Yeah, which means something totally different. But no, this is weird. This just seems out of place. I know he's talked about himself being wise and everything before, but it's never been like, I'm this great adventurer character who has gone across the 7 seas.
Yeah.
And so on,
here is some commentary from Erdman's. Foreign travel today opens the mind. How much more in those days when people met with more unfamiliar customs and unforeseen obstacles to the private traveler. So yeah, how kind of like a culture shock of sorts.
Right. So, I mean, obviously, there's truth in what he's saying, right? Being more well-traveled makes you more well-rounded.
Yeah.
But it just seems really weird. Like, it seems like one of those serial characters, like the adventure serials, the old ones.
What?
Like so-and-so is a great adventurer, went to this secret island and uncovered this lost tribe.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, Indiana Jones
is a serial adventure.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, not like serial
serial
killers.
Real.
No,
not like
serial real.
Kellogg's.
Okay.
I'm not talking about Tony the Tiger here, man.
I was like, did they have like a whole mythology around these guys?
Wow, that would
probably
be a bit much. No, they are IPs for major industry. That's all.
Yeah. No, it's just really strange. Anyways, lively is the courage of those who fear the Lord, whose hope is in their Savior. Whoever fears the Lord is never frightened, never discouraged, for the Lord is his hope. Happy is the soul that fears the Lord. In whom does he trust, and who is his support? The eyes of the Lord are upon those who love him. He is their mighty shield and strong support, a shelter from the heat, a shade from the noonday sun, a guard against stumbling, a help against falling. He buoys up the spirits, brings a sparkle to the eyes, gives health and life a blessing.
How kind of him.
Yeah. So,
kind of looks like that's the end of the chapter, huh?
No,
No,
it's not.
it isn't?
No.
It just looks like it. It's
I have
another-
a weird. Okay, I got a weird thing.
There's
here.
another section.
Okay.
That was the end of that section.
Okay.
So you want to say anything about that section?
No, it just has like another numbering here. Oh, that's a reference to. Okay, remember before a couple weeks ago we were talking about how there were entire chapters that were mixed around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is one of those. So that's why I thought it was a different.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This next section in the Anchor Bible, it's called True Worship of God and His Response. Is it called that?
This is the section on sacrifices. I have unacceptable sacrifices
Oh,
in Australese.
that's
those squirrels.
Yeah. Or just, it's basically just, a subject line, so it doesn't it doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have some notes for these sacrifices.
Okay. Yeah, because I've been reading through this commentary, and in a lot of sections, it's just like a summary of the events.
Yeah, that does
things.
happen with commentaries, yeah.
Okay. Tainted his gift who offers in sacrifice ill-gotten goods.
Yeah, so, some things aren't really good enough for for God.
So you don't steal a sheep and then kill it.
Yeah, there's like that. So ill-gotten goods are not acceptable, nor are a multitude of sacrifices, though people think that the quantity of offerings makes a vital difference. So remember when we were talking about fools sacrificing things? Like if they sacrifice things, it's basically in vain.
Yeah,
so it doesn't really matter.
Because they're going through the motions and
Yeah.
they don't actually cognitively engage.
Yeah.
No, they just malt off their neighbor's sheep farm. They think that's a good sacrifice.
Well, although I do have some notes here for the section in general on sacrifices.
Mhm.
Historical necessity taught ancient Israelites to think of other means of atonement than sacrifices on the altar in the Solomonic temple. For during their stay in captivity, and for some time after their return to Judah, circumstances made it impossible for them to carry out the prescribed offerings, because you had to do it at the temple. But you couldn't really do that.
Right, which is part of why there was that whole campaign about high places.
Yeah.
You have to do the sacrifices at the temple so
Or
that the priests can
sexualizing.
eat.
That was that was definitely part of it. They were taking a lot. Moreover, a strong prophetic voice begins with Amos and enduring for many years called into question the entire cultic apparatus, at least as practiced in Jerusalem. A rabbinic anecdote from the late 1st century CE reveals a similar attitude, for when Joshua ben Hananiah lamented the destruction of the temple in 70 CE by the Romans, and simultaneously the disappearance of the place of atonement, Yohanan ben Zakkai responded, then equally valid means of forgiveness, deeds of kindness remained, as acknowledged in Hosea 6:6. For I desired steadfast love and not sacrifice, the knowledge of God rather than burnt offerings. And that, goes on into Christianity and whatnot. Very, very Paul-esque.
All right. Presents from the lawless do not win God's favor. The Most High approves not the gifts of the godless, nor for their many sacrifices does he forgive their sins. Like one slaying a son in his father's presence is whoever offers sacrifice from the holdings of the poor. That was a thing that they specifically warn against many times, is putting your child through the fire.
Yeah.
I guess in
But
this
of course
instance, it would be especially bad because you're presumably not the parent.
Yeah, you're not the parent.
And you're doing it in front of the parents.
Yeah. That's very, if you remember, this one does just say father. But if you remember in Second Maccabees, the martyrdom of, the woman and her 7 sons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also remember, don't boil a calf in its mother's milk.
There is that one.
That in some ways can be taken more of a metaphor for don't, pretty much butcher a kids or goats.
Yeah, but now
in front of its mother.
But now it means don't have cheese on your hamburger.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
I think we all like cheese on our hamburger.
Yeah, I think we do.
I wouldn't say all, but still.
Yeah. The bread of charity is life itself for the needy. Whoever withholds it is a person of blood. He slays his neighbor who deprives him of his living. He sheds blood who denies the worker his wages.
Yeah, so it's basically akin to murder, like taking stuff from the poor.
Yeah. If one builds up and another tears down, what do they gain but trouble? If one prays and another curses, whose voice will God hear?
Yeah, so there's some commentary here on verses 28 and 29. So they use the image of builders, one building and another tearing down, to illustrate action working at cross purposes with inner attitudes. If one prays and another curses, to whom does God listen? It is like washing after touching an unclean corpse and then touching it again. So, yeah, effectively, nothing has changed.
Mm-hmm. That's something that I hear some people bring up once in a while.
What, touching corpses?
No, God hearing prayers.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Like, how can he hear all the prayers at the same time? Right. And there's arguments around that.
I mean, the only thing I've heard is because he's God.
Right. Well,
I heard he has good hearing.
Yeah, really good hearing.
Well,
you ever see Bruce Almighty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Do email.
Yeah. But now you don't have to email.
No, text message.
Yeah.
Prayer.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Could you imagine you wake up in the morning at eternity o'clock, you turn on your cell phone, and there's just like an extra 50 million prayers that you have to go through.
Yep.
That's why
That's
there's
good.
like a morning prayer
Maybe
and then an evening prayer.
Maybe this should be like a thing we should include in some show that we're possibly working on.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
We could.
Maybe the show should be called The High Place, and maybe we will start working on it once we hit $200 a month on Patreon.
Maybe. But who knows?
We didn't say anything. We're just hinting. Hint, hint, hint.
I mean, we can continue now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If a person again touches a corpse after he is bathed, what did he gain by the purification? So with a person who fasts for his sins, but then goes and commits them again, who will hear his prayer? And what has he gained by his mortification? That is the end of chapter 34.
Yeah, there it is.
If you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, share it around with your friends, family, neighbors, subscribe if you haven't, donate, etc., etc.
Oh yeah, Ball right over here. He needs help because in order for Ball and with our assistance, of course, we are his humble servants. With our assistance, Ball would like to get an e-meter to read our thetans. And basically, we're going to test Scientology.
Yep.
That's how we're going to do it. We're going to, once Ball gets $666.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Yeah, and we're about $50 in.
Yes, God only accepts completely unique prayers, apparently.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right.
Or maybe it's like a roll call. Like,
Perhaps.
you do your morning prayers here.
There should be some priority, like you knew there was going to be an earthquake. So like all these people who are like, God help me, there's an earthquake. They're like, yeah, I knew that. I'm gonna
Why are you acting surprised?
Spam.
Yeah. Anyways, here's the next chapter.
Yeah, there's a little bit in Eerdmans here with chapter 35. Sirach stresses at some length the ethical component of the sacrificial cult. The sacrificial cult is in no way to be understood as a substitute before God for good works. Indeed, good works may be considered of equal worth to sacrifice.
Well, isn't that just dandy? All right, let's hop into chapter 35. He that keepeth the law multiplieth offerings, and he that giveth heed to the commandments sacrificeth a peace offering. He that rendereth kindness offereth fine flour. So yeah, kind of the relationship there. They're talking about all these offerings, but really just kindness is the thing that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And he that giveth alms sacrificeth a thanks offering. A pleasing thing unto the Lord it is to depart from wickedness, and a propitiation. Propitiation? Weird word, whatever.
What verse is that?
5.
Verse 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the second part of verse 5. It is to turn away from unrighteousness.
Mm-hmm.
Guessing it's just a good thing.
To avoid injustice.
Okay. Appear not in the presence of the Lord empty, for all these things are due because of the commandment. The offering of a righteous man maketh the altar fat, and the sweet savor therefore is before the Most High. The sacrifice of a righteous man is acceptable, and the memorial thereof shall not be forgotten. So if you are being righteous and you sacrifice something, that is an acceptable thing. But the question is, if you're already technically righteous if you're already righteous and you're doing good to others, if you are a kind person, if your good deeds are already, good deeds, what would be the purpose?
Well, because you got to remember that they legislated thought crime. Right? If you're jealous of something.
Okay, I see.
Or if you think that the lady who lives down the street is sexy and she's married to someone, right? Then you have to go and make your sacrifices. So no one's free from sin, right?
Right.
It's specifically set up so that no one's free from sin. Because
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, because they legislate.
Although I wouldn't know if it's set up specifically that way, but the way it is defined, everyone would fall into that category.
Well, like the way I see it, it was like a big pyramid scheme. It's like priests want to eat, priests get free food from the sacrifices.
And they'll be real happy with you later when they do like stuff for ceremonies or feasts or festivals or for prayers with people or anything. You'll get a much nicer blessing if you give them a good stacked cow as opposed to a scrawny one.
Yeah. So what happens to the priests in the theoretical, tribe, village, where there's like zero crime rate? Nobody is committing actions that are deemed sinful.
Well, I guess then, they would still have to appease the god, right?
Yeah, and so they have all of these other reasons to give sacrifices.
Thanks rituals and stuff that are even in good times.
Fair enough. Either way, with a good eye glorify the Lord, and stint not the first fruits of thine hands. In all thy works let thy countenance beam, and with gladness sanctify thy tithe.
So for this stint not, it says, critics could accuse Jews of offering rich sacrifices in hopes of getting a good return from God.
Well, that would make sense. That's probably what they're going for.
Yeah. And read through verse 13.
Okay. Give unto God according to his gift to thee, with a good eye, and according as thy hand hath prospered. For a God of recompense is he, and sevenfold will he recompense thee.
So Sirach does say in verse 13 that God will repay you sevenfold, but verse 13 comes only after 12 verses emphasizing cheerful giving with no particular stress on return.
That is true. Also, I'd like to point out that, they're saying here, so give unto God according to his gift to thee. So that's probably, you're probably not looking for a complete, giving back to God. Because, how could you ever repay God, right? It's God. So my guess is just, this is a way of saying thanks in a devoutful way. But yeah, this whole sevenfold thing, it just means, in its entirety, completely. So just like when we're going back to Cain and Abel, for example, they're, if someone killed Cain, vengeance will be brought upon them sevenfold. Yeah. Either way, let's continue. Bribe him not, for he will not accept gifts, and trust not in a sacrifice of extortion. For a God of justice is he, and with him there is no partiality. So, yeah, this is kind of the thing you were referencing about being the bribe, right? And they would see this as just a way of getting good things out of it, but I would say that is kind of why they would have begun this practice in general.
Well, yeah, probably.
Go ahead.
I mean, when it comes to these bribes, for him to have gone out of his way to talk about it and write about it and be like, don't do this, there had to have been some actual social condition that led to that. Right?
Yeah.
So we might think that priests were literally taking bribes of food if they wanted some food. Right?
Well, this is directly talking about God.
Oh, right. This is talking about God.
Yeah.
So if they're talking about all these sacrifices that they're making and these foolish people giving sacrifices as bribes to God, well, who is representative of God in your community?
Sure, yeah, it'd be the priests, yeah.
So,
anyways,
that's my, ridiculous interpretation.
He will not show partiality to the detriment of a poor man, but hearkeneth unto the supplications of the distressed. He doth not ignore the cry of the orphan, nor the widow when she poureth out of her complaint.
That's pretty common, the widows and orphans.
Yeah, that happens all the time. God is basically the protector of these.
Mm-hmm.
Or their protector, their shield. Anyways. Doth not the tear run down upon the cheek? And is there not a sigh against him that causeth it to run down?
So Eerdman says about what you've been reading. In 35:14, he turns to the negative side.
That was about the bribe.
Yeah, people must not offer God a bribe or rely on dishonest sacrifice. When Sirach speaks of the Lord as judge, showing no partiality to the poor, he seems inconsistent, just like the Old Testament prophets who spoke in harsh terms of God's judgment on humans, but showed marked sympathy with the poor, widows, and orphans. What matters is that a person's service will be pleasing to the Lord. His prayer will be heard. In response, the Lord will not delay his reaction. So the rest of this chapter is going to vividly describe divine punishments against the guilty.
You know, that's what we're here for.
Yep.
Vivid descriptions?
Yep, of divine punishment.
Yeah.
I just thought vivid descriptions.
There's a note on that. It says the rapid rehearsal of divine punishment against guilty humans, unexpected in a text of this sort, may reflect the chaotic political situation under the new Seleucid rulers, from the NIV commentary.
Yeah, so if you remember, this is from, probably just before the whole Maccabean thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't really have Antiochus the fourth, just being an asshole. So instead, it should be said in that context.
Mm-hmm.
Such a sigh is a bitterness accepted of God, and such a cry reacheth to the clouds. The cry of the poor passeth through the clouds, and until it reacheth God, resteth not. It will not cease until God doth visit, and the righteous judge execute judgment. Yea, the Lord will not tarry, and the mighty one will not refrain himself, till he smite the lions of the merciless, and requite vengeance on the arrogant, till he take away the scepter of pride, and wholly destroy the staff of wickedness, till he render to a man according to his deed, and recompense him according to his thought, till he plead the cause of his people, and make them glad with his salvation. Mercy is fitting in the time of their affliction, as rain clouds in the time of a drought.
And that's the end of that chapter.
Yeah, it is. Lots God gonna come down and help the helpless.
And judge everyone.
Judge and destroy and smite, and it's all there.
Yeah, kind of like what we were covering in other books.
Oh yeah, we've seen that a whole ton.
Yeah, a whole bunch.
Anyways, that is the end of the chapter.
Yep. If you're enjoying the stream so far, like, comment, subscribe, share it with your, the president of your HOA or something. I don't know.
Your dogs, your cats, your monkeys, your goldfish, other exotic animals you might have.
Imaginary friends.
Your neighbors.
Extra personalities.
The mailman.
You could teach your parrot to say, watch Milwaukee Atheists on
You
YouTube
could.
and then set it free so that people will just hear
Set it
this
free.
parrot
Wow.
around the world.
Yeah,
Yep.
parroted.
Also,
Yep.
you'll cause a parrot infestation in your
Yep.
local area.
I mean, hopefully
And who
the
doesn't
parrot
wanna
will
do
be
that?
okay.
Yeah, I'm sure the parrot will be fine.
Probably not. Probably the parrot would get eaten by another bird.
I don't know. I don't know the life of a parrot.
Usually, the life of a parrot is in a cage, as far as
you
we're
have
concerned.
not watched the documentary "The Life of a Parrot."
You're
clearly.
right. I haven't.
Nope. Anyways, chapter 36. Come to our aid, God of the universe, and put all the nations in dread of you.
Before you go on with the hilarious voice, I should note something here. So it's a prayer for national deliverance, and it kind of seems very strange for this text. In fact, it's kind of weird for wisdom literature in general to have prayers. They're very I'd say they're kind of rare amongst wisdom literature. So as already suggested, this prayer for deliverance follows naturally upon the statement of God's care for his people and vengeance on his enemies in the previous chapter. To include such a prayer is strange to the wisdom tradition. No such prayers appear in Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, but Sirach's work does not fit so neatly into any category. The prayer is written in the tradition of the Psalms of Lamentation.
Oh,
What?
We're dropping frames like mad right now. Hold on.
Oh.
Okay, it looks like we're back.
But I don't know what it was. It wasn't me.
Okay.
It did drop.
That's weird. I would like the chat to tell us where that dropped off.
Yeah.
If you guys hear us right now.
Yo, they hear ya. Well.
Oh. Video output low.
What? Not receiving enough video?
What?
How is it not receiving enough video? I mean, apparently we're good now. Please tell us if something goes wrong. I don't know what's going on here.
That's a ridiculous message. What do you mean not receiving enough video?
That's weird because we do have 3 cameras.
We're not dropping any frames right now, but for just a very short moment, we dropped a bunch of frames, and I don't think it was my computer because that would say it on my end, but it was on the live stream.
Huh. Okay. So yeah, I don't know what the last thing people heard was.
It was very brief. It was super fast. I just had to say, whoa.
Weird. Okay. So
yeah,
we will keep an eye on that.
Went right now. I think it was just a kind of, DSM attack. Ooh, that's not good. Somebody's attacking servers.
DSM?
You know
that's
the thing?
not
You know the thing?
DNS.
DNS, thanks. That's what I meant. Not to us, just to everybody.
Okay. Well, anyways, I'm going to go back just in case, people didn't catch it. So as already suggested, this prayer for deliverance follows naturally upon the statement of God's care for his people and vengeance on his enemies in the previous chapter. To include such a prayer is strange to the wisdom tradition. No such prayers appear in Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, or Job, but Sirach's work does not fit so neatly into any category. The prayer is written in the tradition of the Psalms of Lamentation, although there is here no praise of God as so often at the end of those psalms.
So the opening colon summarizes the prayer. It may be translated literally, "Save us, O God of all." This title of God occurs also in 4523c and in 5022a in Greek only. It is interesting in that it does not address the Lord as God of Israel, but rather as God of all, i.e. Jews, Gentiles, the whole universe. 2 similar expressions are found in Apocryphal Psalm 151:4 from Qumran.
Yeah,
and
there is a note here.
Yeah.
Yes.
The epithet has a long history, deriving from the Canaanite phrase Baalu Arsi, Lord of the Earth, which became in Hebrew, when applied to Yahweh, Adon Kol Haaretz, the Lord of all the earth.
Yeah, there is exactly that note here, pretty much.
Oh.
Yeah, that it's talking about that it's basically taking over the titles of Baal, and that has happened a lot. The rider of the clouds kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That has happened so many times throughout the Bible. So.
Yep. It's almost like the Bible is Canaanite mythology fan fiction.
I wouldn't say so.
No, I wouldn't either, but it's a thought.
It is a thought.
We could use it for the high place.
We could.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a good one. Like you could have Moses writing fan fiction, right?
Yeah. And then God is like, this is making me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Holy Ghost says, it'd be funny, give it credit to Solomon for all that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyways, raise your hand against the foreign folk, that they may see your mighty deeds.
Sorry, just one quick question. What verse was that?
That was verse 3.
Okay. I sadly don't have
The foreign folk?
no a note for that.
Oh.
But go on, go
Okay.
on. Tell us how bad foreigners are.
As you have used us to show them your holiness, so now use them to show us your glory. Thus they will know, as we know, that there is no God but you. Okay.
Yeah. So, kind of that whole, we've seen that a lot, Lord over, actually, it makes sense then. Lord over all the earth, Lord of all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Imperial now.
Yep.
Give new signs and work new wonders.
Yes, so there is a note here. So in verse 6, God is implored to give new signs to save his people, as in the deliverance from Egypt. Actually, hold on. Get through verse 12. Sorry.
There's a note in here. It says, the opening bicolon is an appeal to God to repeat the signs and wonders that he had done in Egypt when he liberated his people from bondage.
Yeah. Actually, hold on. I think I might have a note about the foreigner thing. For the moment, the ethic of forgiveness that Ben Sirach taught elsewhere has flown out the window, and desire to see revenge poured out on foreigners dominates. That's all you're getting. At least for that one.
That's rough.
Yeah. But let me know when you're done with verse 12.
Okay. Show forth the splendor of your right hand and arm. Rouse your anger. Pour out wrath. Humble the enemy. Scatter the foe. Hasten the ending. Appoint the time when your mighty deeds are to be proclaimed. Let raging fire consume the fugitive, and your people's oppressors meet destruction. Smash the heads of the hostile rulers who say, there is no one besides me. That was the end of verse 12.
So, the appointed time is probably the moment of deliverance from Syrian overlordship, his language carefully disguised for reasons of safety, and the hostile rulers in verse 12 are the same royal line. I did want to quick make a note about Maccabees, about the whole give new signs thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, that was in a time when signs were not thought to be happening anymore. There were no new prophets, right? Well, I guess not no new signs, but no new prophets at least. Mm-hmm. So at least not the same set of signs. Although they, if you're the more religious type, like the author of First Maccabees, then you do think that it's all pretty much a sign, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
if you're a determinist, then
everything is
literally everything is
a sign.
Just, yeah.
Well, not a sign, but I would say it is
an intentional action of God.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's not a determinist, right? Determinism is different, but like a biblical determinist.
Yeah, it would be like Calvinists.
Mm. Okay.
Predestination
and these
like
rulers, I assume these are like emperors who proclaim themselves to be gods.
No, we're talking about the same political regime of that is described in Maccabees. Mm-hmm. It's the same Greek Seleucid rulers.
Oh,
yeah, except just earlier.
So this is which one? Which guy? We talked about...
It would be the third. Antiochus the third.
Antiochus the third.
Yeah,
okay.
Probably.
Been a while. Gather all the tribes of Jacob, that they may inherit the land as in days of old. Show mercy to the people called by your name, Israel, whom you named your firstborn. Is that what happens?
You could call it that.
I don't think...
That's not quite how it goes down, but you could call it that.
Okay. Take pity on your holy city, Jerusalem, the foundation for your throne. Fill Zion with your majesty, your temple with your glory. Give evidence of your deeds of old. Fulfill the prophecies spoken in your name. Even Sirach is like, man, I wish there was some evidence for the existence of God.
Well, hold on. Which verse was that?
That was verse 20.
Yeah, give testimony to the first of thy works and establish the vision spoken in thy name. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it would be interpreted in the same way as we would interpret the word evidence now.
Okay. Reward those who have hoped in you, and let your prophets be proved true. Hear the prayers of your servants, for you are ever gracious to your people. Thus it will be known to all the ends of the earth that you are the eternal God. Now we're in another section. Choice of associates. Is it called that? Or is it a different section in there?
It is a different section, but it's just labeled here Proverbs.
Okay.
And in the other sections, it's on making choices. But just for the prayer, I want to note a couple things. So this plea for deliverance does not mention a Messiah, although the language definitely suggests that the eschatological era is being described. Osterley has noted that silence with respect to a Messiah is not unique to Ben Sira in such contexts. And then several features of this prayer resemble the Shemona Eshrei, the 18 benedictions in the Jewish prayer book. In the 1st century CE, the first 3 benedictions and the last 3 praises were recited in every synagogue service. So I don't know if you had to deal with that kind of stuff, the 18 benedictions.
If I did, it was in Hebrew and I didn't know what it was.
Fair enough.
Yep.
But this next section is about making choices.
Okay. The gullet can swallow any food, yet some foods are more agreeable than others. The palate is the judge of delicacies put forward as gifts. So it is with the discriminating mind and deceitful tidbits. A double-dealing character causes grief, but an experienced person can turn the tables on him. Though any man may be accepted as a husband, yet some women are better wives than others.
Yep. So this whole thing that he was talking about when it came to food and your palate and
Yep.
discerning good and bad, he was really just trying to get to the whole wife stuff. So first,
So any man can be accepted as a husband, but
we'll get to that. We will definitely
Okay.
hit on that because it's hilarious actually. So first, he discusses the matter of choosing a partner in marriage. His initial remark, grounded in the social restrictions placed on women, that is, their dependence on arranged marriages, sounds cruel. That's verse 26. Was that verse 26?
that was verse 26.
Oh, I think I just skipped a total page in here.
Oh.
Oh, wait, no, I didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
The limited choice open to a woman explains her readiness to accept any man. In contrast, men could be more selective in choosing a wife. So that sets that in context for you.
Great. A woman's beauty makes her husband's face light up, for it surpasses all else that charms the eye. And if, besides, her speech is soothing, his lot is beyond that of mortal men. A wife is her husband's richest treasure, a help like himself, a staunch support. A vineyard with no hedge will be overrun. A man with no wife becomes a homeless wanderer.
Yes, there's a good amount of commentary here about the homeless wanderer. So the remark in verse 30 that a man without a wife wanders about like a fugitive recalls the exact expression applied to the first murderer, Cain. A fugitive and a wanderer, Genesis 4:12 and 14. And then furthermore, on verse 30, in the arranged marriage, in the arranged marriages of Sirach's day, a woman would accept any husband, but his misogynistic view concentrates on advice given to choosing wives. Even so, husbands are fortunate if their wives are good, and bachelors are seen as unfenced property. No, there's nobody has him down yet.
Nobody. I think there's one more verse here. Who will trust an armed band that skips from city to city, or a man who has no nest but finds lodgings where night overtakes him?
Yeah, so the allusion to robbers in verse 31 probably points to the to mercenary soldiers who traveled wherever clients wanted them to engage an enemy in combat. The point of this reference is the comparison with a footloose and fancy-free male. Those are the words that are used here. You're welcome.
Footloose and fancy free. When was this written?
Are you talking about Ben Sirach, or are you talking about the commentary?
The commentary.
Okay. Probably not too long ago.
Really?
I'm guessing not too long ago.
Comparatively.
2015.
So someone in 2015 thought that it was appropriate to put the phrase footloose and fancy free in their book.
Yes.
Wow. In a Bible book.
Yes.
Footloose and fancy free.
Absolutely.
Now, how old is the person who wrote this?
I have no idea. Probably not a young person. That's for sure.
I assume
Within the
not.
eras where those words may or may not held more use.
Okay. Let's get into the next chapter.
So yeah, let's get into it. That's me then. Here you go.
Yep.
If you guys are enjoying the stream so far, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't, share it around, get some people in here, say hello, all that good stuff. The likes, the comments, all of that stuff helps. And while you are commenting in the chat, why not take a look at those brilliant links that Nightbot is posting? I think Nightbot is
brilliant links such as those to our Patreon, our Facebook account, our Twitter, and others.
our wish list too.
Yeah, our wish list.
Anyways,
By the way, thanks to Landon for all those.
yeah, it was
books.
Landon who got all that stuff.
Yeah, he bought like how many books?
Like 5 or 6, but they were pretty expensive. So thank you, Landon. You were
Yes.
just awesome. You are a legend. You are a king of kings, I could say. Lord of all.
I don't think Landon would appreciate being called a king.
Probably
of
not.
kings. No,
I think he would hate that.
you're a scientist of scientists.
Yeah, the astronomer of the stars. The star of astronomy. I don't know.
Dang, that's enough.
Good job.
Yeah. Anyways, how about we hop into the next chapter here? Yeah. So this is the final chapter for the reading today. 37. Let's do 37.
Let's do 37.
Every friend saith, I have a friend. But there is a friend who is a friend in name only. So there is sorrow that cometh nigh unto death. A soul-loved friend turned to an enemy. O evil nature, wherefore wast thou created? To fill the face of the world with deceit? Yeah.
What?
Shakespeare now?
Yes.
What verse was that?
That was verse 3 that I just finished.
Oh no.
So basically he's talking about shitty friends.
Yeah.
Because he talks about friendship a lot in general.
Alas, my intimate. No.
Verse 3.
Yeah.
It's too bad. You can't
What is
out
it?
loud.
Alas, my intimate, what are you made of to blanket the earth's surface with deceit?
Fair enough. My intimate. Evil is the friend that looketh to the table, but in time of stress standeth aloof. A good friend is he who fighteth with the stranger and taketh hold of the shield against the adversary. Forget not a friend in time of conflict, and forsake him not when thou takest the spoil.
So this closing remark may relate to experience in battle, but the
Yeah.
Greek text makes the more general point that a friend who merits inner thoughts deserves to enjoy one's prosperity.
Every counselor pointeth out the way. So this whole stuff about counselors, apparently they have their own biases, I think is what he's going for here. But there is one that counseleth a way for his... Oh, okay, I see. So they pointeth out the way, so they're right apparently. But there is one that counseleth a way for his own advantage. Of that counselor, let thy soul take heed, and know beforehand what is his interest. For he too will take thought for himself. Why should it fall out to his advantage? So yeah, they're gonna use their position to hold some sway to get what they want. Mm-hmm. Evil, deceitful people. And he will say to thee, how good is thy way? Then will he stand aloof and watch thine adversary. Won't do anything while your enemies are trying to fuck you up, I guess. Mm-hmm. Not in just a physical way of fucking up. Take not counsel with one who disliketh thee, and hide thy secret from one that is jealous of thee. Take not counsel with a woman concerning her rival, and an enemy concerning his conflict. With a merchant concerning business, and with a buyer concerning selling. With an evil man concerning the showing of kindness, and with one who is merciless concerning men's happiness. So there was a good amount of stuff there. Actually, the verse continues. Mm-hmm. With a worthless workman concerning his work, and with a yearly hireling concerning the sowing of seed, with an idle slave concerning much work. Trust not in these for any counsel. There's got to be some commentary on verse 11. That was not only a long verse, but I mean, it seems like talking to these people about these things would be unproductive. You wouldn't necessarily get anywhere with it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's talk about verse 11.
Yeah, and apparently the last part of that verse was Greek. Because apparently the lines are wanting in the Hebrew.
In 37:10 through 11, Ben Sira lists the people to avoid when seeking advice. One's father-in-law heads the list. The reason is not stated unless perhaps he is the one who is envious of you, in the sense that you're not good enough for his daughter. The rival in 37:11a is a woman a man intends to marry as a second wife, or a woman who is already a man's second wife. The jealousy and conflicts that could arise between a wife and her rival in a polygamous marriage is dramatized in 1 Samuel 1:2-7, and also Genesis 31. When writing 37:11b, Ben Sira may have had in mind Deuteronomy 28, which allows the cowardly soldier to return home, lest he make his fellows as faint-hearted as himself. One should not consult the merchant and the buyer because of their obvious interests in the results of the transactions. See also Proverbs 20:14. Asking a miser for advice about generosity would be even more senseless. The individual cruel person, indifferent worker, this year's hired person, and an idle slave are all unfit counselors because of their defects of character and their unconcern or inexperience regarding physical fitness.
Yeah, being a slave, what a defect. That's completely their own fault.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Although I would like to point this out for anyone who's listening and not watching. You remember you asked how old the guy was? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So our guest for next week, Sirach scholar David Skelton, says, regarding Footloose and Fancy Free, James Crenshaw is 86 years old, one of the fathers of wisdom literature scholarship, but yep, he's old.
That makes sense.
It does, doesn't it?
86 years old.
Yeah.
Well, that's Wow, that's a long time.
18 diggity 2.
I don't think that's
A year. 18 diggity 2 is not a year.
okay. Well, carry on.
Okay, I shall. But rather with a man that feareth always, whom thou knowest to be a keeper of the commandment, whose heart is like thine heart, and if thou stumble, he will be grieved for thee. And also discern the counsel of thine own heart, for there is none more true to thee. So, your own opinions, your own thoughts is what's important there. But then also, you should listen to someone else who is righteous, just like you, apparently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The heart of man declareth to him his opportunities, better than 7 watchmen on a watchtower. But in all these things entreat God, that he may direct thy steps in truth. I think there should be some stuff about the
The
watchmen.
remark that one's own mind is superior to 7 sentinels may debunk Hellenistic astrologers, which is in this book.
Yeah, it is.
On page...
The citation in the New Interpreter's Bible is this book right here. Look how great we are. We have all the books here.
Mhm.
And yeah, it gives, pages and stuff too. I was looking at that. I was like, yeah, Ruben would want to see that. Probably want to talk about it. And I also noticed we've been using the commentary portion of this book way less than we were using the Maccabees one. Now I know we have in...
Now, he references Smend.
Yeah, Smend.
But
German scholar.
Yeah, but he doesn't say anything more than that. It's just an allusion to astrologers,
Okay.
to whom the Jews of Ben Sira's days apparently would go to for consultation.
Ah, well then.
The number 7 in a context like this means many, right? Like we talked about before, how they
Yeah,
have
or
phrases.
wouldn't or couldn't mean all, because in the context of, well, I don't know how just 7 would work, right?
Mhm. I'm not sure.
Either way, let's continue here. The beginning of every action is speech, and before every act there is consideration. The roots of the deliberations of the heart throw out 4 branches, good and evil, life and death. But the tongue ruleth over them all together. There is a wise man who is wise to many, and to his own soul he showeth himself a fool. He is his own biggest critic. And there is a wise man who is despised for his words, and is cut off from all pleasant food. So,
Deprived of all enjoyment.
Kohelet.
Mhm.
For grace was not given him from the Lord, because he is deprived of all wisdom. Okay. So different. Okay. That does explain a little bit more. And there is a wise man who is wise to his own soul, and the fruit of his knowledge is upon his body.
Wise to his own advantage.
Okay. So if you are like a wise man that is also like higher up in some government or something,
Mm-hmm.
like a philosopher king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we all support, obviously. Philosopher kings.
Yep.
Let's continue. And there is a wise man who is wise to his people, and the fruit of his knowledge is in their bodies. So he has helped people. The life of a man numbers few days, but the life of Israel days without number.
That's not true.
No, it is not. If you're talking about, Israel is in, the sons of Jacob, all this, the lineage
that's
of
also
Jews.
not true.
When
They're
when did all Jews cease to exist?
they haven't yet, but eventually.
Well, yeah,
they will.
eventually, I agrry. Yeah,
It's not
It's
like
gonna happen.
time will infinitely go forward in one direction, right? Eventually, we're gonna have the heat death of the universe.
yeah.
And they keep talking about this Judgment Day stuff, and all these things. I'm pretty sure that means that the time is quite
well.
limited.
If you consider the fact that in a lot of eschatologies, they're waiting for like a new heaven on earth kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
a revitalizing of the people, where technically some of the dead would come back and live together. Yeah, that kind of stuff. So in that sense, it would be without number, even in their eschatological ideology.
I guess.
Yeah. That's the best I can do for you. He who is wise to his own soul shall be satisfied with enjoyment, and all who see him account him happy. He who is wise to his people gaineth honor, and his name abideth to life eternal. And then this is another section here. Discretion in eating. My son, in thy life prove thy soul, and see what is evil for it, and give it not that.
What did you have for verse 25?
Verse 25 was, the life of a man numbers few days, but the life of Israel days without number.
And where was it?
It was verse 25. It was
Is-
after
verse 24?
It was after verse 23 and before verse 24.
It goes 23, 25, 24, 26.
Yep.
Everyone's favorite order of operations.
Okay. There's some commentary.
Is there? Is it on that?
Verse 25 seems to strike a slightly discordant note following on the high praise heaped upon the wise person in verse 24. The following verse emphasizes the mortality of even a wise individual as against the community of Israel, whose days are without number. Verse 25 thus serves to emphasize the following verse. So I guess that's why it's placed like that.
Gotcha. So anyways, yeah, he's talking to his son, which could just, be his students, and basically saying, whatever is bad for you, don't have that. That was his wisdom.
Nice.
For not everything is good for everyone. Every soul chooseth not of every kind. Be not insatiable in every luxury, and give not thyself wholly to every dainty. So, moderation.
Mm-hmm.
Be not in... Okay, I already read that part. For in much eating lurketh sickness, and he that is surfeited draweth nigh unto loathing. Through want of self-control many have perished, but he that controlleth himself prolongeth his life. So yeah, moderation. That theme comes up a lot.
That it does.
Yeah, but anyways, that is the end, unless you have some closing notes, unless there are any closing commentary on chapter 37 there. That would be the end of the reading.
I mean, the commentary, it's the kind of stuff that we talked about before with eating until the point that you vomit.
Right, okay.
That's gross.
Self-referential stuff.
Don't do that. Not just because it's gross, but just don't do that.
Yeah, it's bad for you.
Yeah. Anyways, so that is the end of the reading for today.
Yeah. So what did you think about today's reading?
I thought it was all right, not bad.
And what did you think about that misogynist stuff?
It seemed... It did seem misogynistic, yeah. Seemed very in line with the times that these were written in.
Wow. Yeah. As you would expect.
Yeah, it's exactly as you would expect. Either way, thank you everyone for joining us and watching through the thing. And hope you enjoyed the stream.
Yeah,
Drop a like if you haven't.
We shilled quite a bit.
We're going to do it again.
But we can also tell you that on Patreon, for $1 a month, you can receive all of our video scripts for our scripted videos. For $5 a month, you can get Lawrence's book and upcoming self-published Milwaukee Atheist books.
Any books that we publish.
For $10 a month, you get entered into our monthly T-shirt giveaway.
Yeah, good old T-shirt giveaways.
Yeah, it's we spin the wheel.
For $20 a month, you can be in our Patreon hangout. That's once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$50, you could join us on one of our shows.
Wow,
Yeah.
you said that horribly.
I was
For
supposed to.
$50, you
That was-
could be on this show or the Sunday show, any show you want. It's great.
Yep. And that invitation for Darth Dawkins to pay $50 and get on is still open.
Let's see what else we got going on. Got the wish list, the Amazon wish list. We got a lot of books on there. Landon just got a whole bunch of stuff off of it. So thank you, Landon. You're a legend.
Yeah, we got some good stuff.
Yeah, but we're always, if you want to add books to this table, or if you want to add to our studies and get your some bang for your buck, because we will read through the books and produce videos using those books as sources. That kind of,
even if it's painful, like Chronicles, we'll do it.
yeah. But it's not like I added Chronicles to the wish list. Although let me tell you this story. I was ordering First Maccabees from the Anchor Bible series, and obviously this was then, not now. Instead of sending First Maccabees, they sent a commentary on Chronicles, First and Second Chronicles, and I'm like, this is the least of the books that I would have wanted a commentary on.
Yeah.
Not only did we finish it, but it's Chronicles.
It's bad.
So really not too interested in that. But I kept it, and then I just ordered another First Maccabees.
Yeah, well, now you have a Chronicles commentary.
I do, I guess.
That you can reference once we finish the New Testament and loop around back to Genesis.
Because that's how this
the
show
plan.
goes. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Once we finish everything, I'm not doing it again.
Yeah. It's all here. We can just watch it.
Yeah.
No matter how conceited that is. So let's see what else. So yeah, we shilled out the
That
Patreon
is pretty
and
conceited.
yeah, we shilled out the Patreon, we shilled out the wish list, we shilled out we got a Teespring too. We just get a shirt. We also have some other stuff.
Facebook and Twitter.
Facebook and Twitter, free to follow us.
We
on
have
Facebook
a
and Twitter.
Gmail account.
Yes, we do.
You
It's
can
freer.
email us.
You could.
You can pull out your phone right now, send us an email, and be like, hey.
You could do that.
Here's my bank account information and my social security number.
Give us your identity.
And the answer to those 3 personal questions they might ask you.
Yep. But don't worry, it's secure. We use Gmail, which is secure.
I don't know why we're talking about this, but that's the show, everybody. Thanks for joining us. You know, all that stuff that we just shilled out. And until Sunday, we will see you on Sunday.
Sunday.
Do you still need